What's going on? How you doing? It's the infamous Jig John.
Biggie dreams, call me Gypsy.
Pardon?
My train of thoughts gotta be steaming. I'm still KwakuDreaming.
Hey guys, this is Jig John and welcome to KwakuDreaming. Yeah, that's right, it's Kwaku, it's not Kwaku. What's going on, people? Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to KwakuDreaming, your favorite ideas podcast, hosted by the one and only, your favorite educated opinionist, Jig John. Let's get it. So I've been particularly excited about doing this one because it's been on my mind for a while. First off, I've been very hesitant to call this podcast an educational podcast, because education in my mind indicated somebody of experience and high intelligence, you know, passing on knowledge and all of this stuff and being a guru. And I'm not saying I don't have experience, I do. I'm not saying I'm not intelligent, I am, but I'm not a guru, as far as I know, whatever that means. But a guy broke it down and I really liked the way he broke it down. And I was actually on this comedy page and it was Greg Dean talking about, he was asking the question, how do you see us? And a gentleman named Mike Polek, shout out to Mike Polek, said this. He says, I don't see you as a comedy instructor, I see you as an educator. And he said, this is the difference. An instructor imparts knowledge. An educator is someone who draws upon the inner resources of a student, from the Latin educare, to draw forth from within. So an educator is somebody who draws upon inner resources of a student, right? So to draw from within. And I think that's exactly what this is, man. I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I'm trying to add a framework and encouragement to make us think better, so we can bring out our own resources, so we can bring out our own intelligence, our own wisdom, our own thinking, and draw out your own path. So based on that definition, I'm very much happy to call myself an educator. Bish, bash, bog. Let's go. That was just me expressing my own breakthrough from insecurities. Okay, and also I have to shout out a few people. Well, I'm not going to name any names, but I want to shout out for everybody who has been listening. Why not shout out a few names, actually? No, I'm not going to. And I just want to shout out these people. I just want to say thank you for everyone who's been listening. And recently I've been receiving a lot of feedback and people really being moved by this stuff and most importantly, taking on this knowledge, and it's actually being beneficial, right? Because that's the only reason I'm doing it. And you have to understand, I'm sitting in a studio, in a booth, speaking to a computer and hoping that this is helping people. I know deep down this is all valuable stuff, but whether people receive it as that is a different thing. I don't know unless you tell me. And I have received the most impeccable endorsements. I'll shout out one person who actually put it up on Instagram, and that's my boy I've known for years, Cedric. Shout out to you and your family. Shout out to Noah. All love, man. And I just want to say thank you for those people responding to me. I'm not going to mention any more names, otherwise I'll forget someone and get in trouble for it. But let's move on. So we've had Gifts and Talents 1 and part 2. This is part 3. And I really want to speak on this, and I've been excited to speak about this one because it's been a theory that I've known to be true in my head, but now I feel like it's the right time to share it. And I'm trying to think of different ways to help people locate their gifts, because I speak to people who've been who really liked the other episodes and it touched them, and they're thinking in a new way, which is great. That's step one. And for anyone who has been able to locate their gift from that, that's awesome. Amazing, let me know. But if not, let's take another step and see if this formula helps, right? Or it's not even a formula, this bit of information helps you. So I was watching a video literally a second ago called Famous Failures, and I'm sure you've seen it as a motivational video up on social networks. I've seen it a lot on Facebook, and you know, it tells stories of important people's failures, right? I've just deleted my notes. That's not what I wanted to do. And the video talks about people like, it's ludicrous, the things that were, have been said by teachers and people of authority and people who know nothing. And basically Oprah Winfrey, it gives examples of people's failures. So you got Oprah Winfrey, who was fired from TV, and they said that she wasn't fit to be on TV. Good idea, buddy. And then you've got Walt Disney, fired from a newspaper. Check this one out, because this is one of the best. Fired from a newspaper for lacking imagination. That is priceless. To be that teacher who said that. Unbelievable. Some of the stuff that people say. As a side note, I do need to say something. Like, I have this thing where I made a decision years ago that I would never be the one to tell somebody that they cannot do something in life, that something's not your gift. So don't ever ask me, don't ever message me, say, oh, do you think this is my gift? I'm not going to say no to you, right? Ultimately, it's your decision, and I may probe you and push you in a way to in a different direction if I think what you're doing is a mess. But I'm never going to say no. Look at people like Macy Gray and Louis Armstrong. They have some of the most unattractive voices you've ever heard until they get on their own songs or until they get in their own zones. And there's no one you'd rather have be on those songs but them. They're literally priceless. Do you know what I mean? Who else would you want to sing What a Wonderful World? You can get Stevie Wonder, as I've probably said before, Michael. You can get, I don't know, you can get all of these great singers, a gospel singer, and they're not going to sing it in the way that Louis Armstrong sings it, Same with Macy Gray. Anyway, back. I watched a movie called Dolomite, and it's basically about a comedian. I forgot his original name, but his comedy name was Dolomite, and he was constantly told he wasn't good enough to be a comedian. He was told he wasn't good enough to be in movies, for sure. He wasn't a good enough musician. He did everything and was rejected everywhere. And then he ended up being massive before he died. Okay, then you got the Beatles, who were told that they had no future in show business. Again, you got Kanye, who was told by Jay-Z and many people, you're not a rapper. Stick to producing, you'll never be a rapper. I'd say he's a rapper. You got Albert Einstein. This is another priceless one, right? Albert Einstein didn't speak until he was 4, right? So based on their conventional wisdom, what they decided as to be intelligence, they said because he hasn't spoken until he was 4, he's never going to amount to anything. He's just not intelligent enough. This is Albert Einstein. I actually have met a guy or know a guy who turned down signing Oasis and Coldplay, and his response was, I didn't see it. No, you didn't, buddy. You didn't see that one. You didn't. The Jackson 5 was sent to Las Vegas to go do shows because they said there was no future for them left in the industry before they came back with don't blame it on sunshine, don't blame it on the moonlight, don't blame it on the good times, blame it on the boogie. Sorry. Got ahead of myself. So based on this information, you could listen to this video as another, you can do it, never give up. Just because somebody says you're not good enough doesn't mean it's not true. And that is true. That is a message that's already put out there, so I don't think I really need to. But I think we can look deeper into this. What if, this is my theory, what if what people told you couldn't do, where you've been rejected in your life, where you've been bullied maybe, is an indication of where you are most talented and where you are going to have a breakthrough. And I came up with this theory. I thought of this when I kept on seeing in the beauty industry, I kept on seeing people like Tyra Banks telling stories of just being bullied, told that she was hideous and skinny and unattractive. And can you imagine Tyra Banks being the one girl in the school who was like, she's disgusting, and then she's flipping Tyra Banks later on, And then you got someone like Angelina Jolie, and she has a unique look, right? And I guess as a kid, people weren't used to it, so they were like, and Angelina talks about, people said she was hideous, like a beast, just disgusting to look at. And now she's Angelina Jolie, and I'm thinking, man, I understand that Angelina Jolie is an amazing actress, and she is. I understand that Tyra Banks is, she's got a talk show. She's great at communication. She's great at what she does, right? But we cannot forget the fact that your gift will make room for you. Remember, if you've watched Gift and Talents, the first two, you'll understand that Bible scripture. Your gift will make room for you, and clearly, we cannot run away from the fact that people like Brad Pitt, people like Will Smith, people like Angelina Jolie, their gift of beauty, and in Angelina Jolie's in her situation, her unique beauty has made room for her, because there isn't another Angelina Jolie out there, right? I'm sure there's somewhere, maybe years to come, but right now, through her career, it's been Angelina Jolie, and her beauty has opened doors for her talent, and I just think it's funny that the two people who were scrutinized, and there's many more in the fashion and beauty industry, and people who were known for their beauty, who were constantly bullied. My older sister, she when she was on YouTube, she was huge on YouTube, millions of views and stuff, and she was known for her beauty and all of this stuff. But when she was a kid, she was constantly called ugly, constantly called overweight, constantly, and myself and her were both rejected a lot. I was told I was unattractive for a lot of times, and later on I was doing modeling, and it's just funny that these areas that you were bullied later on end up being the exact places where you become successful. And I think you should look at that in your own life, right? So let me give some more examples. I remember a few things. Let me give you a few examples and go off on a little rant. So first of all, I remember when I was a kid, and all love to my auntie, like this wasn't malicious in any way, but I remember being in the dining room, and my mum was talking about, how everyone in the family sings, and she was like, yeah, Jake's singing now, and my auntie was like, Jake? No, Jake can't sing. And I remember I walked in, and I think by that time I was so fed up of being rejected in certain areas, I was just like, whatever. And my face was just like, whatever. I didn't even get offended. I was like, I don't care about you. And then she came back, and she apologized, because she didn't mean it like that. But her thing was, Jake can't sing, maybe she says rapping, I can see that, yeah, but not singing, he can't sing. I'm thinking, but if she says I can, like, do you know what I mean? Like, clearly you haven't seen me sing. But I always knew inside of me, I knew that I would be able to sing at one point. And then later on, I'm saying all this not to be arrogant. I'm not going to tell you stuff for no reason. I'm telling you for the point of the story. Later on, I ended up getting a full scholarship to BIM to sing. After, let me tell you this, I was rejected from 3 schools and told I was nowhere good enough to sing in these universities, and then I was put on a full-page news spread at Stage Magazine, which is the biggest entertainment magazine, and especially then, biggest entertainment magazine in England, and I think in Europe. And I was on the front page of it, and then at the same time I had a modelling spread, did not have a spread. I had a big poster up on what was that shop? Box Fresh. I've still got a book now, and it was just like a blessing from God, because it was like everyone who rejected me got to see me on the mediums that they would view, like the music universities that I was rejected from definitely would see this spread. But I guess it's that thing of, it's not like they said, oh yeah, sorry, you're not good enough. But it's when people go out their way to just say, like, you'll never be this, you'll never be that. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, why would you go that far? Why would you want to be that person that told somebody, not that you don't get what they're doing or you don't view them as talented, but they will never be something. For me, it's crazy. I'd hate to be in Simon Cowell's position. I'd hate it. The amount of people you've spoken crap about, just saying you're not this, you're not that. I remember, what was it, Little Mix? I remember him saying, oh yeah, you're the best singer, to the blonde girl, and then saying, yeah, but the rest of you, basically diminishing the talent of the rest. And I've played with them, like, live a few times. They can all sing, right? And don't get me wrong, the blonde one is, I should really learn her name, but the blonde one is very strong vocally, she's very confident, and she can sing everything, respect to her. Doesn't mean you should diminish what everybody else does. In two other situations, I have to add, in two other situations, I had producers that I met up with, music producers, and on these two occasions, somebody had set me up with a meeting with these two people, and they were not up and coming producers. They'd done a lot of big stuff, but they weren't mega famous, right? And these two different producers at two different times, I'll tell one story, but both exact same thing happened. So I went to meet up with this music producer, and I came there with the mindset that I am not a music producer. I am a songwriter, and I'm looking for somebody who is a talented music producer to help me, guide me, and not even to teach me. I'd given up that role as a music producer. I need somebody to help me, for somebody to produce my music. I write, you produce, and it would be a co-partnership. And I remember the guy just sitting there and telling me, and he must have said this, no exaggeration, at least 15 times that I was not a music producer. And I was like, he's like, you're not a producer, look, some of this stuff you're doing is naff, you're not a producer, you're clearly, you need to stick to songwriting. And I was like, but that was my opening pitch. Like, I told you I wasn't a music producer. I'm not trying to be. I'm a songwriter. And he kept on saying it, And as he kept on saying it, no word of a lie, it's like a light bulb hitting my head, and I was like, oh, I am a producer. That's why this is happening. And it was like I was so in tune with God. I knew that God was like, yeah, you are a producer. This guy's not going to give you what you want. I'm going to teach you to be the producer you want to be. And that happened twice in a row. I think I only learned the second time. The first time I just took it as, no, I'm not a producer, but this guy's telling me I'm not a producer. And then the second time the guy said it, and he kept on saying it so much, I was like, oh, I really must be. And as crazy as it sounds, it completely made sense to me. It was the most convincing pitch to get me to music produce. God works in mysterious ways, as they say. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So then I got home and I produced one of my best produced songs. And this is a lot about me, but it is what it is. So I guess in conclusion, what I'd say to you is, if you were hated and rejected in an area, bullied in an area, especially in a place that you weren't even trying to succeed, those places especially, that's actually where you're most talented, and you should explore. If I walk into a room and everybody starts telling me, oh, Jake, you're an idiot, you're stupid, and I haven't said anything, then is an indication that I'm somewhat of a threat, and they are indicating to me who I really am, and I must be the opposite of what they're saying, right? I must be intelligent if they're telling me I'm an idiot. They're trying to convince me. When somebody's trying to convince you of something negative about you, you are the opposite. That's what I'm trying to say. Let me say it again. If anyone's tried to convince you of something negative, it means you are the opposite. Because T.D. Jakes put it this way, an amazing preacher, T.D. Jakes, and he said this. He said, if you go to the worst slums, you go to a hood, at the poorest areas, and he said, if there's a lot of violence there, you'll still see a bag lady, a crazy old bag lady, walking around in the streets and no one's touching her. Completely fine. You never see a beaten up old bag lady, you never see a mugged bad lady, no, because she's not perceived to have anything, right? I said, if you have something and you've never spoken to this person in your life, and this person's trying to damage you verbally, physically, you have something that affects them, right? T.D. Jakes also said, he said, if you want to know who you really are, listen out for what your haters are saying about you, right? Sometimes they're staring you in the face, telling you how good you are by telling you you're nothing. Sometimes there's people in your family, and as they are telling you you're useless and you'll be nothing, they are literally preaching to you how good you really are. It sounds crazy, but it must be true. And it's been true in my life, and it's clearly true in these people's lives. And it's something to really take on. And this is why I see racism differently. I've seen a lot of people with, I don't want to say victim mentalities because I feel like that's thrown around too much, but sometimes I speak to black people or I'll hear more likely I'll hear people on TV, people talk about, oh yeah, they just don't like us because we're black. They just don't like this. They just don't like. I'm like, listen, no one doesn't like black people. No one doesn't like, I know this is the worst English, but it's the best way to say it. No one doesn't like people for no reason. They perceive you have something. So whenever I'm racially abused, I know that my presence has done something to them. This is my last story, and it's a very important story. Anyone who went to school with me, shout out to Jason Gargan, hopefully he's listening, I'll send him a link. And a few other people who hopefully are listening that went to school with me will know that I spent at least a year or 2 years being bullied by racist people. I say racist people, and I don't know if they were, well, it was racism, I have to say it was racism. And I'd walk into the boys' toilets and it would say, well, hopefully the boys' toilets, but I'd walk into the toilets and it would say, Jake's a nigger, Jake's a black bastard, Jake's this, Jake's that. And it would be like spray painted or drawn all over the toilets. And there was about 50 kids one day that wanted to kill me. They genuinely wanted to kill me. Some of them had knuckle dusters, some of them had knives, and this is the experience I had growing up in Brighton. That's why it's very annoying when people say to me, Brighton's so multicultural, because that wasn't my experience. Anyway, so I was literally being threatened with my life constantly. And these are the kids in the older year that I didn't know. And till this day, not till this day, I did not understand why they hated me so much. I didn't mind that they hated me in the sense that I wasn't trying to be their friend. I didn't think I'd done anything wrong. It just didn't make sense. It wasn't 2 years later that my boy Seth, who has revealed a lot to me in my life, he's been a very good, it's been a really good inspiration, I'd say. He said to me, he said, Jake, like, no wonder you were hated. He said, you were the only black boy out of 1,600 people. When you walked around, you looked like you owned the place. You looked very happy being black and being in the midst of white people. You were fine with it. You didn't cower away from being black. I remember there was a few other black people in the older years who left, but I remember a lot of those people used to cower away because it wasn't cool at that time to be black. And they knew that they would be bullied. They didn't go through what I went through because they cowered away from who they were. And these bullies were used to it. These older kids were used to black people and people of color cowering around them and acting a different way and trying to act quote unquote white and all of this stuff. But with me, I'd be talking to the same girls they were talking to. I'd get a bit of attention, whatever, and they hated it. They hated it because they were so used to being able to bully people and for them to be the best. And they were thinking, why is this guy so comfortable here when he's the only black guy? And they hated it. And that was the only, when he said that, it was another light bulb. I was like, oh, it makes sense. Because most of these, honestly, out of all 50 of these kids, I'd had a conversation with about 2 of them. It made no sense for any of them to hate me. But they did. Yeah. So let me reiterate one more time. If you are being rejected, bullied, if you were being oppressed in an area for no reason, you haven't done anything to evoke this anger, nothing that warrants this reaction anyway, then chances are you have affected this person so highly to a point where it makes them feel small or rejected themselves. And they are preaching to you who you really are and how they see you. If you want to know who you are, listen out for what your haters are saying. And sometimes they're telling you who you are. Great.
I'm still KwakuDreaming.
Check out my blog, KwakuDreaming blog, and any more episodes at KwakuDreaming.com. Check out jakejohn.com for any details. Make sure to check me out on Jake John Music on all platforms, all social medias, and check out Jake John Music on any music sites. Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, Deezer. I'm on SoundCloud. I've put my music up for free on SoundCloud as well. Check out the stuff, share it. I'm gonna play some of that stuff on the podcast and just enjoy it. Also, if you want any jingles made, any sound bites, any soundscapes, just let me know. If you want to discuss any ideas or issues we just spoke about, I'd love to hear your story. Just let me know and I'll advise and share any way that I can. If you'd like me to speak at an event, just let me know. You can contact me on KwakuDreaming@mail.com. That's KwakuDreaming@mail.com. Respect, all love, enjoy yourself. And don't forget to subscribe to this podcast.
I'm still Kwaku dreaming.
Have you ever felt like a Mitch, afraid of the night, and everything you're saying turns around to be advice? You listen to the hype of vicarious life when everyone accepts you as taking your advice. Afraid of